Hello, my name is Heather Rice, and I'll be presenting on my philosophy of education. First, I'll give a little intro to myself. My name is Heather Rice, and I am a senior at Cal State Fullerton. I was born and raised in Southern California, and my major is history with a focus on modern U.S. history. My goal as a teacher is to teach students about history in a way that prepares them to be involved in their communities and government. I want to help create the next well-informed generation who recognizes the foundations of our nation and how they can impact it for the better. Some fun facts about me. This past summer I interned at the Surfing Heritage and Culture Center. I love to read. My mom, grandpa, and great-grandma were all teachers, and I am fluent in Spanish. I think the role of education is to prepare students to be impactful citizens in line with their democratic society and to teach problem-solving skills and apply them to their schooling and lives. And here's just a little quote from John Dewey, who prescribes to the progressivism view of education, which I also really believe in, which is education, therefore, is a process of living and not a preparation for future living. The role of the teacher, and this is actually a quote from our text, which is teacher as a guide on the side rather than a sage on the sage on the stage. And I think teachers are supposed to be intellectual guides facilitating the problem-solving process, and teachers should work to create an environment that promotes learning by making their students feel safe and recognized. And I think teachers really need to support their students both in and outside of the classroom in emotional and physical capacity. And then students, and I think this is their role in education, is first is to learn the problem-solving method, applying this both in and outside of the classroom. I really want them to be involved in their education. What do they think is important, and advocating for what they want in the classroom. I think it's important for them to participate in group activities and group problem solving, as this prepares them for the democratic society that they're entering, and to be enthusiastic and ready to learn. There is no time to be complacent. My subject is social science or history. Social science is more of the broader topic, whereas history is sometimes more what you see focused in the classroom, as this image shows. Social science involves geography, civics, economics, history, research, all of that information. Here's a little bit more on what social science is. As you can see, it's more of an umbrella rather than just history. So social science incorporates a variety of disciplines, and when teaching history, we are often employing a wide range of the social sciences to analyze the past. How we teach history has really changed. It's no longer just the political history. It incorporates all parts of the past, including the social, cultural, economic factors, and many more. We also have definitely seen an increase in the importance of geography. And then my goal for my social science students is to teach students about the past and how it impacts their present, seeing how history is far from dead, to show them the broad trends in history, how one event or movement can impact another, and the great ideas that formed nations and started revolutions, and then to show them both big and small history, so we can look at both the big events and then look at more of a micro scale, so you can look at just how that maybe big event impacted a town or even how it really didn't. And then to encourage them to continue to be informed of the past and the present political situations in order to best contribute to their democratic society. And then my students, I would love to teach middle school or high school. I'm leaning more towards middle school at this moment, seeing as they're definitely a little more excited oftentimes than high school students. And I just think adolescents are so special because they're at a crossroads in their lives, making decisions that impact their future and who they're going to be. The lessons that they learn in middle school and high school can help lead them to the path of success. I think teaching adolescents is so different than maybe elementary, where elementary you're giving them just foundational learning, whereas I think with adolescents you get to teach them bigger problems with bigger solutions. And this is more of why I want to teach adolescents, is I want to foster a sense of social responsibility that begins with activism at a young age. They're at an age when they definitely understand the problems, have hope for change, and want to help. We've definitely seen that growth in youth activism as of late, and I want to continue that. And for many students, there are a great variety of outside factors that make education not a priority. I want to help them through these hard times while keeping them active in school. And then this is a time where many students can get left behind, especially with the increase in testing during this age. I want to make sure every student gets the education that they deserve. And then My method is teaching is I definitely fall under, as I mentioned earlier, the progressivism idea, which is students learn best by doing and experiencing problems. I think students learn best when they are involved in their learning. And here's just a little image showing that how kind of the teenage brain works, where they learn from experience, they're still working through self-control and all these things that definitely contribute to the progressivism philosophy. How they learn. Adolescents learn best when they are involved with their education in an active way as opposed to passively listening. This not only better cements the information to help them apply the lesson to different examples, not also in the same way, so it's also important to incorporate lessons that touch on the different kinds of intelligence, and this is just the little multiple intelligence image that we have seen throughout our learning this past semester. And then with curriculum, I really want to focus on the major themes of history, showing how, which really helps students link events and pull out the bigger meaning behind them. I find this to be a much more practical approach to history instead of focusing on battles and a plethora of dates. Students learn to apply the lesson in a much more concrete sense. I also want students to be able to write and analyze historical documents like a real historian. These are two skills that are often overlooked, with many teachers focusing on multiple choice tests. I want students to be able to critically think about the past and the present. I think focusing on themes and analyzing really helps to prove that history is more than just the stories that we are telling. And then here's just a little chart of some of the main themes that we see through AP World History that you would maybe use in the classroom. So we would focus on the political and social features. We can look at the rise and fall of empires, nationalism, imperialism and colonialism, technology, the role of gender, all of those things that we keep seeing throughout world history and make it to be more than just those events. And then for the instructional approach, I really want in my classroom to use both technology and cooperative learning. With technology, I see the presence of technology in our time is ever growing. Instead of working against it, we should use it to our advantage to help students use it effectively. And then so some of the ways I would use it in the classroom is making students evaluate legitimate sources and news reports, use instructional YouTube videos as a lesson supplement, use interactive maps and timelines, so this would kind of focus on that visual learning, and find research topics that we did not touch on in the year. I think technology can really be used as an asset rather than something that we kind of shy away from. And I think it's even more important, even just looking at evaluating legitimate sources and news reports, seeing how there's a growth in this kind of fake news narrative. And then I also want to focus on cooperative learning. So this is where we're seeing students work together and problem solve. So I wanted to give group presentations on maybe a topic that we didn't get to cover in class, or they want to go more in depth. We can use think, pair, share. So they would discuss the different concepts maybe just with each other and building that self-confidence and assurance, and then we get to discuss it more with the class. I know that helped me a lot throughout my education. And then forced debate. So this would be a more specific way to apply it. So we can ask students a question that they agree or disagree with, and they can form the two groups and debate each other. I know I used this in my senior year of AP Government, and everyone got very involved, and it really helped cement that problem-solving skills and using examples that we had learned throughout the year to then apply them to those debate topics. Finally, I'll be looking at assessments. So 3 different types of assessments are entry-level or diagnostic, formative, and summative assessment. An example of an entry-level assessment that I found was an anticipation guide. So it uses these true-false statements for students to pick out and find facts that they already know. Also includes a follow-up section for after the readings to see how their understanding have changed. This is just a little one about the Cold War, and so they would do some true false right before, and then we would go through them, and then maybe even after the reading they could see where they went wrong or maybe where they were right. And then a fun formative assessment that I found interesting was a 3-way summary in which they would respond to a question or topic in 10 to 15 words, then 30 to 50, and then 75 to 100 words. So they would have to go obviously more in depth as the word length progressed. One interesting way that I saw that for someone to do this was to maybe even make it a tweet. So make it almost like a media focus so they can try to make it more interesting for the average user. And then for a summative assessment, I would really want to focus on writing as opposed to multiple choice. One example that I found was DBQs, which is where they give a question and then we'll use documents within the assessment and then their outside knowledge to really answer this question. And then really just to conclude, I want my students to develop problem-solving skills that help them both in and outside the classroom. As a history teacher, I think it is my responsibility to teach my students about the past and how it affects their present. I want them to be well-informed and active students, and I really hope that this philosophy will lead them to be those citizens. Thank you so much.